I run my entire business from Visual Studio Code with Cloud Code. Client, tasks, content generation, invoices, project managing, all of it. Let me show you how. Since November last year, I've built an entire system inside Cloud Code that handles almost everything I do as a one-woman business and a product maker. 35 custom skills, 6 autonomous agents, and counting, and a single repo that ties it all together. This is how I actually use it day to day to run client projects, to launch my own products, write content, and save hours every week. By the end of this video, you'll see the full setup and how can you build something like this for yourself. First, the basics. Cloud Code runs directly inside Visual Studio Code as an extension. You open it, you get a chat panel, and it has full access to your files, terminal, and any tools you connect to it. But here's where it gets interesting. Everything starts from this little keyboard. I have a shortcuts menu with every project I work on. If I want to work on a client project, I pick its name and it opens the folder in Visual Studio Code. If I want to do management work, content, invoicing, scheduling, handling the CRM, I pick agent, which opens my cloud folder. This is a folder that I named cloud, even I know it's confusing because where the settings and configuration of cloud lives is also called cloud. But whatever, this is how I name it. So we have two worlds. The client code lives in its own folder, which is connected with GitHub. So it's living in a repository that every time that I push, it gets automatically deployed in live environment or development environment. And then management and content generation lives in this folder named Claude. And I jump between them in just one click. This Claude folder is my command center. As the client projects is also synced to GitHub, so in case my laptop breaks or disappears, nothing is lost. Everything lives here and everything is globally connected. So the skills and agents I have here, I can use them globally. I have one folder for the skills, another for agents, and then I have reference documents. A folder with my brand guidelines, client info, and project context. And I also have a folder with scripts with reusable utilities. Maybe you might be wondering, okay, if this is on GitHub, where are the tokens or the API keys? That's where the .dot files come in. Any file or folder that starts with a dot, like .env, is ignored by Git by default. So all my API tokens, keys, they live in this .env file that stays on my machine and never gets uploaded. The repo is private, safe, and locally I have everything I need to connect to external devices. Skills are the foundation. Each skill is a / command I can trigger from the chat, but they also get triggered automatically when Claude detects the right context. Let me show you the ones that I use the most. First one, Google Calendar. I type Google Calendar and I can see my schedule, create events, move things around, all without leaving the same chat panel. So I don't need to switch between apps. Just say like, hey, at a dentist appointment for Thursday, 6 p.m. That's it. I don't need to switch to the calendar, search for the date, add the event. No, easy. Everything in the same place. The next one is Focus. This one scans all the activity tasks across all my clients and personal projects, prioritize them by urgency, and tells me what to work on right now. And another one that I use a lot is time entry. I use Moxie to track my hours and invoice my clients. So instead of switching to Moxie app, I just tell Claude what I work on and for how long, and it logs the time directly. So at the end of the week and a month, all my hours are already tracked. A skill is just a markdown file. It has a description at the top, so Claude knows when to use it, and then detailed instructions for how to execute. Think of it as a reusable prompt, but with superpowers, because it can read files, call APIs, write code, write content, and use any tool and file that you give access to Claude. I have 35 of these, probably when I post the video way more. And every time I notice I'm doing something repetitive, I build a new one. Writing business proposals, scheduling social media posts, creating Instagram carousels, managing the CRM, even logging my 3D prints to a Google Sheets. Each one took me maybe 10 minutes to set up, and you create them with natural language. You just need to say to Claude, hey, I want to build a skill for whatever. And now they save me time every single day. I share all my skills and agents for subscribers of my newsletter Building Chaos. So if you subscribe, you get access to all of them. Link in the description. Okay, so skills handle single tasks, and agents handle workflows. An agent is a multi-step process where Claude coordinates several sub-agents to get something done. For now, I have 6 of them. The one that I use the most is code maintenance. A client sent me a message in Spanish or English saying something like, the button in the pricing is not working. I paste that message into Claude, and the agent translates it into English and also in a technical way, classifies the task by complexity and estimates the cost, creates a technical specification, plans the implementation, makes the code changes, tests it, even it takes screenshots if necessary. It pushes to Git and prepares the message for the client. And between these steps, sometimes it waits for my confirmation. I just review the output, I approve the push, I test it manually, and reply to the client. What it used to take me from 30 minutes to 1 hour or even more, depends on the complexity. Now it takes me 5 minutes. Product Executor does the same thing, but for my own products. I describe a feature, it plans it, codes it, tests it, and pushes. And Remotion Video takes a content brief and produces a full motion graphics video. It coordinates scene designer, a React coder, and a renderer to output in MP4, all from a single prompt. Here's how I organize client work. Every client gets a folder inside reference documents with 2 files, info.md, because again, it's a markdown file with the project context, the tech stack, access details, the branding, all the context. And then another one called tasks.json. And here we can find the active tasks with the status, the classification. There are 2 options to add tasks to the project: through a skill that I have or with the code maintenance agent. My products gets the same treatment. Each one has its own folders with context and tasks. And because each repo or folder has its own context, when I switch from a client repo or folder to another client folder or my own stuff, Claude automatically loads the right context. So I don't need to copy and paste prompts, no explaining the project. Again, Claude just knows. And if I want to create a new project, I just need to tell Claude. I don't need to click whatever in the interface. I just ask. So this Claude folder is where I manage everything, the business proposals, the CRM, creating events, everything. I'm just an orchestrator, and I just ask what I want, and it gets done. And then the actual code of each project lives in its own separate repository or folder, like I showed in the setup. So I can just jump to the client repo to work on code and then come here to the agent side in the Claude folder to handle the business side. So I can jump between tasks super fast, depending if it's a management task or a code executor task. If it's a management task, then I would open the agent with the Claude folder. If I need to work in a client task, then I will go directly to the client folder. One more thing that makes this work, the brand briefing. This is a single markdown file with my entire brand identity: voice, tone, target audience, products, terminology. Every skill that generates content reference this file. So whether I'm writing a newsletter, a LinkedIn post, or a client proposal, the voice is consistent. That's the real power here. You are not just automating tasks. You are encoding how you work, how you sound, and how you think. So the AI can actually be helpful instead of generic. So to recap, skills for individual tasks, agents for multi-step workflows, reference documents for project context, and a brand briefing that takes everything consistent. In my case, separate: managing Claude folder, code execution, client projects, their own folder. So at the end, I have all the information in one repo. I only use one tool, that is Claude Code, and it's inside Visual Studio Code to have the best of both worlds. The power of Claude Code that you could use with the terminal, but with a nice UI. Now, this is how I structure it for my workflow. Maybe yours will completely look different. And the skills I share is just a starting point. You'll need to adapt them for your tools, your clients, and your stack. The point isn't to copy my setup, it's to build your own. If you want to see how I build these skills and agents, I share the full library for subscribers of my newsletter Built in Chaos, and you get access to all my Claude Code skills, agents, video tutorials, and tools with discounts. Link in the description to subscribe to Built in Chaos newsletter. And if you're building products and want to see more of this kind of workflow, subscribe to the channel. I share the real process. See you in the next one.